Should you buy an American car? Quick question for you. Out of these 5 best-selling cars, which one is the most American made? The Chevy Silverado, the Chrysler 300, the Dodge Grand Caravan, the Honda Odyssey, or the Ford Expedition? Stay tuned. Hey, what's up my friends? My name is Bill. Welcome to Cars at Last. On today's video, should you buy an American-made car? Now, as always, I've got a ton of great data that I think you'll find very helpful if you're in the market to buy an American-made car. This information might actually surprise you. I was motivated to make this video because my cousin actually said she was in the marketplace to buy an American-made sport utility vehicle. I offered my suggestion and she said no because she wanted to buy an American-made one. Now I'm here in Minnesota in the United States of America. Why would we want to buy an American car? Certainly we want to keep the profits for the manufacturers here in the United States. It also creates needed jobs, and that definitely helps the economy. But what if I told you that the third most American-made car was a Toyota or a Honda? Is that still considered an American-made car, being that they're headquartered in Japan? What if I told you that the Honda Accord is more American-made than a Chevy Silverado? Quite simply, should you buy American? I would say yes, but what is American? Also, very important to note, I am not affiliated with any manufacturer, and this information is as unbiased as I can get. Now, this data comes from 2 different sources. The first one is the NHTSA, or the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. This is a government entity, and every year the government requires auto manufacturers to report where their cars are actually manufactured, including where the engines and the parts are coming from. This information can be found on the sticker price of the car. Now, one researcher named Frank Dubois from the American University in Washington wanted to take this a step further. He came up with 7 different factors to determine where the money actually goes when you buy a vehicle. This is based on labor, the location of research and development, inventory and capital expenses, where the engine is made, where the transmission is made, and where the body, chassis, and electrical are put together. And he came up with a COGOD, Made in America Auto Index. How much percentage of the vehicle actually goes to the home country? So to answer the question in the beginning of the video, the correct answer is the Honda Odyssey. What? That's correct. Let's take a look at minivans. The #1 most American-made minivan actually is built here in the United States. In fact, 76% of the Honda Odyssey is made in America. Followed by #2, the Dodge Grand Caravan at 65%, the Toyota Sienna at 64%, the Chrysler Pacifica at 41.5%, and the last one, the Kia Sedona, is only 2.5%. So another fun thing to consider, the Dodge Grand Caravan placed 2nd for the most American-made. But is it American-made? Considering that a few years ago, Fiat merged with Chrysler. Chrysler and Dodge headquarters are here in the United States, but the Fiat Chrysler headquarters is actually in Amsterdam. So here's a question. There used to be the big 3 auto manufacturers, Ford, GM, and Chrysler in the United States. Is Fiat Chrysler still an American manufacturer? I could see both sides of that, as Chrysler employs thousands of people here in the United States. But is the line getting a little bit blurry? All right, well, let's take a look at trucks. The #1 pickup truck is the Ford F-150, which ranges from 78% made in America down to 65% based on the model. #2 is the GMC Canyon and Chevy Colorado at 78%. But #3 is the Honda Ridgeline at 76%. #4 is the Ram pickup at 73.5% down to 51.5%, depending on the model. #5 is the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra. That ranges from 71% to 65%, followed by the Toyota Tundra at 71% and the Toyota Tacoma at 71%. And since we covered most of the pickups, the Nissan Titan came in at 59%. So if you're buying a pickup truck here in the United States, there's a good percentage you're buying a vehicle, majority of it built in the United States. All right, let's look at popular sedans. In 2019, the 3 highest American-made sedans were the Ford Taurus, the Chevy Cruze, and the Buick LaCrosse. All had 70+% of the vehicle built in the United States. Well, guess what? Those vehicles are no longer produced after 2019. They've been discontinued. So the top sedans, number 1 is the Lincoln Continental at 80%. Number 2 is the Chevy Malibu at 74.5%. And the number 3 is the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord at a tie at 73.5% of vehicles. Now, it's pretty clear that U.S. manufacturers, Ford and General Motors, are clearly moving away from their sedans and moving more towards SUVs. So the top American-made SUVs, number 1, the Jeep Wrangler, ranges from 81% down to 60%. Number 2 is the Jeep Cherokee and Grand Cherokee, from 78.5% down to 60.5%. Again, both number 1 and number 2 built by Chrysler. Fiat Chrysler owns Jeep. Again, does that make it an American-made vehicle? Number 3, the GMC Acadia at 77%. Number 4 vehicle was the Honda Passport at 76%. That was the vehicle I actually recommended to my cousin. Also tied at number 4 is the Acura MDX A-Spec at 76%, followed by the regular MDX at 73.5%. The Ford Explorer are at 75%, followed by some versions of the Honda CR-V at 73.5%, and the Honda Pilot and Toyota Highlander. Okay, let's take a look at big SUVs. The Ford Expedition 3.5 turbocharged was at 75%, followed by the 4x4 at 64%. The Toyota Sequoia came in at 71%. The Chevy Suburban and GMC Yukon at 70.5%, with the Dodge Durango followed at 61%. So what are the lowest percentage of US production cars? Counting them down, the Jeep Compass has anywhere from 14 to 35%. The Buick Encore has 14%. Buick SEnvision is 13%. The Chevy Spark at 12.5%. And the lowest US car was the Chrysler 300 at only 12% of the vehicle made here in the United States. The number 1 most American-made vehicle was the Chevy Corvette. Interestingly enough, one of the lowest percentage vehicles was the Dodge Challenger in the 40th percentile. So a reminder, Ford and General Motors again are headquartered here in the United States. Toyota, Honda, BMW, and Mercedes also have very strong presences here in the United States, creating more jobs. Fiat and Chrysler actually announced a possible merger with the French auto manufacturer Peugeot. And do you have a 401k through your employer or some sort of mutual fund ownership? Most 401ks offer mutual funds. Those mutual funds are going to invest in companies that are publicly traded. So a reminder that companies like Toyota and Honda are publicly traded here in the United States. So you can actually own shares and participate in the profitability of foreign manufacturers. So should you buy an American-made car? Now, if you've seen some of my other work and some of my other videos, I do a lot of videos on the top 5 vehicles that last 300,000 miles in various categories. If we're looking at the traditional American-made model, the best vehicles have been ones that have larger engines, like V8s in trucks or vehicles like Suburbans. But is the line getting blurry of what actually is an American-made vehicle? Is a Honda Odyssey at 76% built here in the United States? Could we consider that an American-made vehicle? I'm a fan of buying vehicles that are known to be reliable, affordable, and can last a long time. I certainly want to support my coworkers here in the United States. I guess my thought is I'm going to buy the best made vehicle for my needs. I like the fact that there are reliable vehicles built here in the United States. And this just goes to show that we are becoming a global race, a human race. Maybe we should be looking at buying vehicles from companies that treat their employees really well and are making good, safe products for our families. Okay, well, that sounds like a political speech to me, but anyways, what are your thoughts? Is a Honda or a Toyota that's majority built here in the United States considered an American vehicle? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. In addition, the information, the link below to the KOGOD Made in America Auto Index will be posted in the comments below. It's very easy to search for whatever vehicle you want to. I'd like to say thank you to Frank Dubois. Good work for putting together your index. Thank you for allowing me to share this information with the world. I hope you find this information helpful. As always, thanks so much for watching. Namaste.